Welcome back. So we go on with the recap of the news, Tom.
Yes, determined to revamp her health sector, the Oyo State government led Sheyi Makinde has delivered 97 8 kVA generating sets to all its primary healthcare centers across the state. The state executive, who was represented by the Executive Secretary, Primary Healthcare Board, Muhyiddin Olatunji, explained that the generating sets were largely procured for proper functioning of communities in the state, though to be warehoused at the respective primary healthcare centers.
It is so that we can have water to maintain hygiene and healthy environment in our various facilities. Not only that one again, we know that electricity supply is of paramount importance. So, government has the right to have at least 3 sources of power to our various healthcare facilities. Vis-a-vis, we have the national grid that we are going to link up with. Then there is provision of solar energy in each of our primary healthcare facility. Then again, there's a provision of electric generating set to act as a backup for those facilities. So we are here today to take in as a symbolic demonstration to our various facilities those generating sets that will be sent and attached to each of the 351 primary healthcare facilities in Oyo State. So the first phase is the delivery of 98 generating sets to all primary healthcare facilities as of today. And that is why we have our community leaders here and our chairman to witness this laudable objective, so that you see that our effort is a work in progress. And we are going to improve. After this, we are going to go to the level of equipping of all these facilities, so that when we go to the facilities, we can stay there. What we can achieve outside the country in the Western world can actually be available in Oyo State. And we are going to be a true base setting state for every state in the country to follow. And
It will go a long way to help our services at the primary healthcare facilities. You know, if there is no light, there is virtually nothing that can be done in the dark. And you know the nature of our duty, we run afternoon, morning and night shifts. So the generator is going to help us to discharge our duties effectively for the 24 hours of our services in the health.
And now to politics. Go straight to Osun State this morning. A group of women led by the wife of the Osun State Governor, Kafayat Oyetola, holds a solidarity walk across strategic places in the state capital to create awareness on their support for the APC presidential candidate, Asiwaju Tinubu, and his vice Kashim Shettima. The group, under the aegis of Akoni Obinrin Osun and other women, converged on at the state government house and marched through Okefia Olaya Station Road and terminated the walk at the popular Nelson Mandela Freedom Park in the state capital.
We've concluded that on election day, we will be there in the morning, register our results, then cast our vote and monitor our vote. We will follow it from the polling unit down to the electoral point to make sure that the votes are counted, no overvoting. Even the beavers, we are ready to monitor our beavers this time around. We don't want preloaded beavers this time around. We are ready to monitor our votes.
The nation needs Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So this is a sensitization work. This is to put ourselves together. And the newly inaugurated Akoni Obinrin Osun, there will be we're not pulling our punches when it comes to working for him. We will do everything. We have shown that we can physically work for him. After this, we are going to the trenches to prepare for February, for the presidential elections and all the ABC candidates in Osun State that will be on the ballot at the general election.
Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is somebody who has a very soft and admiring mind to the youth and women of Nigeria. And I believe, by the grace of God, with their support and the support of the younger ones, especially the youth of the women fold, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu will emerge as the next president of Nigeria.
That's it on the recap of the news this morning. We move on to the conversation of the day. Tom, what do you have for us this morning?
Well, objectification and debasement of women. I'm sure you know that we're having a lot of that these days. We've had various people who have tried in one way or the other to debase women, to bring them down, and use them, indiscriminately, because some of them need to survive and would do anything to survive. And we're not saying this is the right thing to do, but, sometimes you don't want to take undue advantage of people. So a particular case in point is Pretty Mike. Everyone knows him. I mean, he made the news, he made the rounds, a couple of times. And at some point, he was even taken to the Lagos State Police Command, when he was chaining women and taking them around. That was really so bad. He was made to sign an undertaking, and he promised not to do that again, not to debase women, but he's back again. And so we've decided that we should discuss this. We should bring it to the notice of people that this thing has reared its ugly head again. Sometimes it makes me so ashamed to be a woman. And we really want to see how we can put a final stop to this. Whatever money he has, I think he should keep for the moment. If he really wants to help a woman in need, he should go ahead and do so. So today, that's what we're going to be discussing on the program. And we have joining us a barrister at law and a member of a concerned parents and educators. Her name is Helen Essien. She's on the program with us. So together, Yinka Kenny, we will be, asking her questions, talking about it. She'll give us a deeper insight, because I'm sure this is for them. This is priority. They want to see how they can put a final stop to it. So we'll talk to her and hear her view. And at the end of it, we'll look and reach a conclusion as to whose fault is it, what could be the possible solution, to these issues. Helen, it's nice to have you in the studios. Thank you for coming, and we're going to be discussing this right away. So,
good morning.
Good morning.
You're welcome.
Feel very honored to be here this morning. Thank you.
All right, so let's just go straight. We're talking about Pretty Mike and the way he treats women. Now, someone said to me, don't forget that these women are full-grown adults. And so if they're doing these things, it's with their consent, really. You can't take him to court, because these women know what they're doing. They're not children anymore. So, I mean, really, whose fault is it? I'm not going to answer that question. I'm going to throw that question back to you. But the truth is, should anybody be doing this kind of thing, debasing women? That's the question for me. I think it's so wrong. What do you think?
Exactly, that's the question. First of all, let me say that the level of civility of a society is usually based on how they treat vulnerable people in the society. Mm-hmm. And we know that women, most of the time, women, young persons, and disabled people are lumped together, because these set of people are assumed to be, vulnerable people in the society. So if we allow women being part of the vulnerable people in the society to be treated anyhow, then it tells a lot about the kind of society we have. And so this is from this angle that we are coming in as a group. And what do? We talk about things about parenting and education. That's what concerned parents and educators do. So this is an issue that touches the apple of our eyes, mm-hmm. And we felt that we need to call out this issue, not necessarily Pretty Mike, because I want to get this straight. We're not going after him. I can't tell him from a can of paint if I see him on the road. It's all about what is being done. Now, when we look at the situation, to women, and generally, we're not trying to act as moral soldiers or anything, or moral compass per se, because when it comes to morality, it's a bit subjective sometimes, mm-hmm. So it's not really about morals, but it's about a law, an extant law. And I'm going to talk about, one of the laws is a criminal code, which talks about indecent behavior. Now let me zero into what happened recently at Don Jazzy's mother's burial. He lined up these 8 women in orange pants, you know, and they had fake male genitalia dangling in front. I mean, it was an eyesore. It was an eyesore. And I mean, we understand that people have kinky tastes. They can be perverted. Like you said, they are adults. But your right to express yourself in whatever way you want to express yourself ends where it disturbs me. It ends where the children have access to these things you're doing. If you're doing these things in a private party, it's none of my business. I will not be taking Panadol or chemo for your mosquito bites. You understand? But when you're doing it and children have access to it, and we know how entertainers are looked up to in the society, children use them as, you know, models,
mentors, and
yes,
all of that.
you know,
looking up to
so
them.
what are you telling the children? They're seeing you're debasing women, and you claim that you're empowering them, and before you know it, it becomes the norm. It becomes the norm.
That's the part that, you know, it doesn't work together. You say you're empowering them,
an irony,
and you're actually debasing them.
Exactly.
I don't
Exactly.
get it.
So, you know, it's something that really, it touches the very heart of any parent, you know. And when you say it doesn't concern me, you know, these children, when they watch these things, they get contaminated. They contaminate your children who you're intentionally trying to raise. They could become your in-laws in future. We don't think about that. You know, we're selfish in our joy. We think, oh, once I'm happy, I'm okay. But in future, they could be your in-laws. And you know, when you talk about being adults, sometimes we consent, even though we're adults, but it's not really voluntary consent. Have you thought about those girls, where they're coming from? Are they, you know, abducted? Have they been coerced into doing what they're doing because of monetary gains? Are they on drugs? Do they really know what they're doing? So these are issues.
They're just vulnerable.
Exactly, very vulnerable.
These
are issues we think the government should wake up to. And I'm talking about, you know, the different agencies. We have the police. We have the NDLEA to check if these people are really mentally okay in terms of drugs. We have NAPTIP to check, are these girls, you know, abducted or trafficked, you know? Sometimes they bring them from the village and they say, oh, there's a job in Lagos, you know, and they come.
And they're brainwashed.
Yes, and they do all this. And they don't have a choice because somebody is housing and he says, if you're not going to do it, I'll kick you out on the streets.
And you don't want to go back to where you're coming from.
So it's between the devil and the deep blue sea. So what do? So we feel that we need to make noise about it. We need the authorities to wake up and smell the coffee. Things are happening right before us. Indecency happening. The criminal code talks about indecent public conduct, section 213. So it's not just about morality, it's also about the law, extant laws. What is the government doing about it? What are the agencies doing about it? So we want us to have a conversation concerning this. And the people who are guilty of doing these things, you know, should be called out. They should be called out. They should be set as examples so that copycats will not follow up in their steps.
One of the people is Pretty Mike.
Exactly.
And like I said, you know, he had been summoned at the Lagos State Police Command.
Exactly.
He wrote an undertaking, but he's gone back to what he was doing. And do you think the police command should call him again?
I think they should. If he wrote an undertaking, you're bound
and
by
he's
that.
breached it.
He's breached it.
Yeah.
He should be called back immediately. And I mean, thank God for this program, just in case the police are not aware that it happened. This is, you know, we're talking about it now. It actually happened. It was on the 8th of October. It was in the papers everywhere. I mean, like I said, if it was a private thing, we wouldn't have any business talking about it because they're adults. But you have it out there in the public domain. You know, children have access to it.
And that's the part
they're learning from it.
That's the part that's worrisome because the parents spend so much time intentionally to bring up the child in the right way, give that child the right values. Exactly. And at the end of the day, the child just picks up, you know, things that have absolutely no value to his life. Yinka Kenny, what do you think? You knew I was going to call you.
Honestly, well, I was going to, usually I like to bring all of this from the angle of parenting. And I think we should concentrate more on, you know, training our boys these days, on the kind of training we give to our boys, because at the end of the day, we tell the girl child, you learn to cook, you learn to be well-behaved, you learn to date, you learn to that, and all of that. And we tend to, just feel that all is well with the boy child. Honestly, with my own personal experience, because there are some things I'm trying to personally, correct or alter in my
Sons.
boy child, So, and I feel that we should be intentional about both
Children.
gender.
Yes.
So we should not because it goes back to the basis. There are growing up, like I was having a discussion with my elder brother. We were talking there. So growing up, there was some way, because of the way we were trained. There were some things that ordinarily we would never do. So when you train the child very well, yes, the youthful exuberance will set in, the peer group influence will set in, but at every point they will have a boundary. There would always be a boundary. So we should also, because for someone like Pretty Mike, for instance, if he has the respect for the feminine gender, he will not take advantage of the vulnerability
of the women. True.
People will say, want to argue with me that these women are adults, but I will tell you they are vulnerable. You will not call me to come and
and join
that way.
and do such a thing, because I'm not vulnerable.
Exactly.
I am well educated. I have a job. I have a means of livelihood. Now,
and you were brought up. You were well brought up.
I was well brought up. You understand?
Yeah.
Now, some of these ladies might, yes, they are adults, but then they might just be caught up in the old mix, because they could just feel, I cannot
Nobody cares
feed.
anyway.
I cannot feed, or probably I have children,
I'm
or probably I have
yes.
people that depend on me. Do I have an option? Well, he doesn't care whose us is God. Let me go ahead to do all of this. So at the end of the day, I want to strongly believe that these ladies are so vulnerable, and that's why they find themselves doing all of this. Fine, they could feel that yes, I'm happy doing what I'm doing, probably because he's paying the bills for now. But then I tell you, if these ladies, if they've got good options, they will leave. They will leave.
I tell you something. Talk about upbringing. Even till today, my mother died about 6 years ago. There are certain things I just cannot do, because I'm hearing my mother in my head saying, "You cannot do it." Whether she's here or not, I dare not do those things. So yes, you are correct. If you bring up a child in the right way, I don't think that child will depart from it. But like you said, it is important that parents concentrate on the boy child as well, not just leave them and concentrate on the boy child, on the girl child. Helen, do you agree?
I agree with you. But because the society also recognizes the fact that some children, so if we're going by your argument that when you raise your child well, the child doesn't depart from it, don't we see children of pastors? What do we say about that? So that's why we
being
have
a
the
pastor
law.
doesn't mean you
train your child well.
Your child well.
Yes.
Yes.
And I'm not saying that all.
And I'm not saying that yes, there are out of everything there are exceptions to every law. There are exceptions.
Exactly.
You still have a Judas out of all the 12.
Yes, exactly.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But to a great extent, because for me, I left home at the age of 16 to be on my own. And I keep saying that, yes, my father, it could be everything. But I think when I want to come back, if there's anything like that, I will come through him. Because he trained his children in the way of the Lord. He trained us to be good children. Because nobody knew I was going to be out in the world, so early in life. Even my mother still says it up till tomorrow, that she never, ever imagined that I will be who I am today. But it all bounces back to the training that I was given, from,
as a child.
Yes, a lot of people, got that good training also, but unfortunately, they
fell by the wayside.
Yes, they found themselves, along the line, being vulnerable or some sort of. And I would also want to mention this point, which is very, very pertinent, and which I try to talk to women about. Women should begin to learn to be a shoulder for a woman to cry on. We should not be so much judgmental, because that is what most of women we do. I have tried in my own little way, never, ever to judge any woman that comes my way. You realize that men, they sit at the bar, they talk over things, and they try to encourage themselves, no matter how bad that situation is, no matter how bad, how wrong that person has done. They try to encourage themselves and push themselves to move on. Women should begin to do such for each other, no matter how very little it is. You can offer something to your fellow woman and be a shoulder for a woman to cry upon.
I agree with you, but we have just 5 minutes to go. So Helen, let's
we have just less than a minute to go.
Okay. So what I'm saying is that yes, this is all well and good, morality talk and all that, perfect. But we also want to look at the law, because a society without law is going to be a disorderly society.
Exactly.
So we're talking about those who have been raised well but decide to veer out of the way. We're talking about those who haven't had the opportunity of being raised well. And there are laws. And I've talked about one of those laws, which is in the criminal code, you know. We have to enforce these laws. It's not okay to just have laws and nobody enforces them. There's actually a law against indecent public, display, you know. We can go through the route of the law if we feel that it's a personal thing, and all that. Like I always say, everybody has a right, but it's not absolute. Your right ends where mine begins. So if you decide you want to go naked or however, and it offends me, then you cannot express that yourself in that manner.
Okay, so I think the point is the laws exist, but the awareness that these laws exist is what we need to let people, we need to do that.
And also
embark on the awareness.
Awareness
campaign.
Do we enforce the law? The enforcement.
So this is one opportunity.
Yes, they don't even know that these laws exist, Yinka Kenny. You understand? So talking about enforcing it is not even the issue. The issue is that we need to create awareness for them to know that these laws exist, and then they can stand, they can hold these things as a backing.
I think we should wrap up this segment.
That's the bit we can take, Helen. I think you've made your point, and I hope that this goes a long way, and it will touch the men's hearts such that they would not take women for granted.
And the Nigerian police to do their work.
And the Nigerian police I hope will do their work.
If they are educated enough to know.
Well, no, they are educated actually.
They're lawyers in the
Yes,
police
they
force.
are educated actually. The police force is getting better. It's much better than it used to be.
We'll get there.
We will get there.
All right, we go on a short break now. When we return, Bumper Breakfast continues. Don't go anywhere, please stay with us. We will be right back.